Before the 25th of September at around 2 p.m., I had never played Dark Souls. My Roblox video had just released and I was looking for a new topic to cover. I've always tentatively looked at the video game as something a little bit too potent for a mainly shooter Game Boy like me. My focus on video games have always been things like Rainbow Six, COD, or Halo, since I wasn't allowed to play violent video games until I was 12 and my parents finally crumbled under my prepubescent iron will. Since I was so sick of not being allowed to, I only played shooter games for a good 3 years. Bouncing from Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 4 to Halo 5, lost most of my will to live after playing Halo 5, then got into R6, Tarkov, and here I am absolutely gaming on CSGO. God help me, please, I have wasted thousands of dollars on CSGO. Okay, so this is a cry for help, please, 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 please. About a year ago, I finally pulled my head from the dirt and took a closer look to some more story-driven games. I bought Skyrim and played nothing but the funny Todd Howard game for a good 2 months. Also, why is that game still $40? It was made in 2011? Fucking Bethesda. Dark Souls is one of the most legendary games in video game history. As basic as it is to say, it's set in stone. You can't go within 15 feet of a virgin without them mentioning Dark Souls. It's compared to every single video game in the world. Cuphead is the Dark Souls of platformers. Escape from Tarkov is the Dark Souls of first-person shooters. There's no limit of references some self-proclaimed genius on the internet could make comparing one slightly difficult game to Dark Souls. But its fanbase of incels shouldn't reflect upon the game itself. At some points, and I genuinely do hate to say this, the game is kind of fun. I normally hate unforgiving games, but I had something resembling an enjoyable experience playing the game. There's not a single original opinion that I could have on Dark Souls that has not been paraded upon thousands of times before. I could try, but it would just be pissing into the Atlantic. The game's been covered to oblivion.
Fail.
What's new with you?
Saw a mud crab a couple of days ago. Ugly little animals.
Can't stand the sight of those creatures.
Goodbye.
And yet, you have to respect the fact that there's a million fresh ways to experience so much rage every time you press play on Steam. A game so uniquely angering that is still relevant today in video game discussion. That's not always a great thing, especially when the jokes are so fucking incredibly tired out. But there's still a certain amount of respect to be given to the game. As you probably know, Dark Souls is difficult. Your enjoyment in the game is based on your skill level, which is inconvenient when your stats resemble the number of Jenga cells in 2001. There's a lot of timing-based combat and almost no checkpoints. At some point in each Dark Souls session, there comes a phase of destroying your computer equipment each time you die. Sometimes the game isn't even fair about it, springing a trap from a random corner and shuts your nervous center off for just a minute.
Up. Watch out. I forgot that was there, I'm gonna be honest.
The game is commended for its intricate level design, and I can't help but agree. A lot of the architecture is based on European buildings in existence, like the Anne Orlando building being based on the Milan Cathedral. It also has a lot of influences from Greek and Japanese mythology. The Wikipedia page states that the game is about a universe defined by the inevitable burning out of a flame, and the tragic stories of the individuals in that meaningless world parallel ideas and schools of philosophy concerning existentialism, absurdity, meaningless, and the end of the universe. Until the developer needs more money and makes Dark Souls 2 and 3. My only problem with Dark Souls, besides the ridiculously masochistic nature, is that sometimes the game lacks direction. Well, sure, there's only one or two directions that you actually can go, but there reaches a point where you just die over and over and over again, where you're just aimlessly floating through the void, doomed to repeat the same day over and over, for the next hour and a half-ish. I initially thought that it was a linear story-driven game because of the sheer amount of claustrophobia I felt playing it. I don't love story-driven games. I grew up with stuff like LEGO Marvel on the Xbox 360 or Legends of Zelda Ocarina of Time. There's a strong story in both of those games, but it's also a completely open world. Some of my fondest childhood memories revolved around flying through New York City as Iron Man and being able to experience the vastness of a major city as a superhero. Dark Souls appeals to your sense of enclosed spaces. It in no way feels like an open world game, even though technically it is. I've noticed that the game is just masterfully tweaked enough to give you enough breathing room to make it feel like you can make your own choices in the storytelling, but it's not a true open world game because half of your exits are blocked by fire-breathing bitch-ass enemies. What?
Oh, what the fuck? Pain.
There are a ton of ways to play Dark Souls. You can get really pissed off at it, you can accept it for what it is, you can not go outside for 3 months and master it. I've often been in a voice call with 2 other avid Dark Souls players and felt like a child whose parents are arguing because they couldn't agree on how to let me experience the game. This before. I've done this before.
What kind of... That's dumb. What?
No, it's not. It's not
Yeah,
at all.
that is. That's a little bit...
The entire point of Dark Souls is learning and then improving. And if you tell him everything, then he's just gonna know everything. That's what you did with me, and I didn't like everything that you told me. When you spoiled shit for me, it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, if he wants you to tell him,
Please,
tell him,
please,
I guess,
please,
but
please,
that's
please,
just
please, 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 spoil shit. Please.
To call me...
Sometimes you get hit in games so hard that you can physically feel it in real life. That's an attribute to the immersion that Dark Souls creates. Every feeling that goes through your feeble mortal mind was engineered by Hidetaka Miyazaki to maximize realism. I'd imagine you'd be pretty mad if you died IRL. So, mission accomplished. Honestly though, the game creates such a world that you can't help but be swept up in it almost immediately. It's an incredible fantasy world, so dark and twisty it's like... licorice. Even though the game is really notable for all the surface level factors like the level design and the difficulty, I think the real thing that really pulls you in immediately is the ambiance, the dark castles, the sewers, the campfires that you respawn at, the lack of sunlight. It all creates an incredible effect that I've never quite felt before. It provoked real reactions from me, like dread while running towards enemies I know I'm gonna get my ass kicked by, genuine fear when I see imminent death barreling towards me, I see what I did there, and oh my lord, sweet, sweet satisfaction when I finally get lucky enough to kill a boss, or pronounce Hidetaka Miyazaki's name correctly. Dark Souls is the Dark Souls of Dark Souls, and that's my hot take on the subject. It's genuinely one of the most formative experiences of video game history, right up there next to the original Halo, Far Cry 3, and Hentai Shooter 2 World Tour. If you haven't played it, and you have about 2 weeks queued up that you can afford to be desperately unhappy in, I would definitely recommend a playthrough. It's an essential video game experience, and you can't really appreciate the easy side of video games without first knowing how bad things can be. I had a really good time making this video, and a special thanks to Snippy, Travis, and Sloth, making playing Dark Souls a somehow enjoyable experience. Also, join the Discord server, links down in the description. I just want to say thanks for watching. I have been Comrade Potato, and I need to learn how to goddamn parry. See ya.